bad Prague travel advice, something that can really ruin your vacation, which is why it is the topic of our today's video. I'm not gonna point fingers at who gives bad advice, AI. I'm just gonna make sure that you guys get it right and have the best time ever here in Prague. And let's start with our bad advice number 1. Visiting Prague Castle before lunch to avoid crowds. What's wrong with that? Let's investigate. So it's 8:45 a.m. The Prague Castle interiors are opening in 15 minutes, and as you can see, it's not so busy, but over there you can already see 2 buses of tourists. So let's see how it will look like in 15 minutes. So right now it's 9 a.m. and as you can see, it has gotten a lot busier. Funny thing is that it is low season right now and it's Wednesday. So imagine how this place will look like if you come here in summer. That's gonna be insane. A lot of bloggers like to say that you should visit Prague Castle before noon to beat the crowds, which always makes me wonder, have they ever been to the Prague Castle? Because here's how it works. Tour companies like to start their day trips from the Prague Castle, so they always arrive here by big buses and bring crowds of tourists here at around 9 a.m., as you saw previously. On top of that, every day there is a big change of guards that takes place at the first castle courtyard down this way, so the castle gets busy right before that as well, because a lot of tour companies time their visits so the customers can view the change of guards. But that means that the castle is actually extremely busy at that time. So as you can see, coming here in the morning doesn't really work if you want to truly beat the crowds. If you come here at 6 a.m., sure, no one is going to be here, but also all the castle exhibitions are going to be closed. Those big groups that arrive in the morning visit the interiors of the Prague Castle, which means you will get bigger lines to the St. Vitus Cathedral and other sites covered by the main circuit ticket. So if you are not planning to visit the interiors of the Prague Castle, you can actually come here in the morning and you will be fine, because as you can see, the outside is pretty empty. But if you would like to visit the Prague Castle interiors, I recommend coming here after 1 p.m., which is what we do on our complete Prague Castle tour. It will still be busy, of course, but it will be better than in the morning. Bad advice number 2 shook me to my core. I had no idea such a generic thing can screw with people's vacations so much. I hope you are watching this before making a hotel reservation, because you're gonna love stumbling upon this video. Do you know those star hotel ratings? In Prague, they often mean nothing. Czech Republic actually has no compulsory hotel rating system, which means hotels are allowed to slap as many stars on their businesses as they want. Take Booking.com and don't trust those yellow stars alone. You might get a basic 3-star room masquerading as a 5-star luxury. Booking.com uses self-reported ratings or vague third-party ones with no clear distinction for official certifications. I had no clue that was a thing, but that explains why some supposedly 5-star hotels often get reviews where people complain that this was not a 5-star property. Because if they're allowed to say whatever they want, of course they will say they're the best. I will leave a link to all of our hotel recommendations below. I did go through them again and double-checked all of the properties there, but do your own due diligence and check the reviews before booking as well. Bad advice number 3. Use Google Maps everywhere in Prague. What can go wrong? Prague city center is a little bit of a maze, so an online map comes in very handy. Except when you need to get to the Prague Castle or Prague Airport. Let's start with the castle first. For some reason, Google Maps suggests you climb these set of stairs behind me, called Old Castle Steps. I mean, if you want to get some cardio in after some delicious kolache pastries that you had previously, that might be a good idea, but not everyone will be up for it, I'm sure, because it's about 15 to 20 minutes uphill. And that's not pleasant, so bring your hiking shoes. It is much easier though to take a tram right from there, from Malostranska, for just a couple of stops. Saves you time and energy. The airport Google recommendations are also very peculiar. Look, instead of suggesting to take a metro to Nádraží Veleslavín and then change for a comfortable trolley bus that takes you right to the airport doors, Google suggests all sorts of nonsense, even taking an intercity bus. And if you watched our previous update date, you know that taking Airport Express is a no-go. It is expensive and takes ages. So please remember, the easiest way to get to the Prague airport is to take metro to this station and then change to public transport. All you need to do is to get a 90-minute ticket, so it can cover the whole journey, but it usually takes 45 minutes. Or you can also order an Uber. It is the official partner of Prague airport after all. Bad advice number 4 is something I'm guilty of giving you guys in the past, so please cut me some slack, I'm gonna fix it now. So here's how it goes. Use ATMs which are affiliated with banks rather than freestanding ATMs to avoid bad withdrawal rates. That used to be a safe bet, but nowadays a lot of banks charge flat withdrawal fees of up to 200 crowns depending on your card. And that's almost like the withdrawal rate of one ATM company that everyone tells you to avoid. Unfortunately, you sometimes don't know how much the withdrawal rate will be until the very last moment. But if it happens that you don't like it, just decline and use a different ATM. But don't worry, there's still some banks that don't charge you so much for withdrawal, for example Moneta, FIO and Airbank. We can also add KB to this list, but this is by all means not extensive. They usually charge less than 100 crowns, but that depends on your card, of course. So it looks like we're back to 90s and the exchange places are the way to go. But why would you even exchange money in Prague if you can just pay by card everywhere? That brings me to our next bad advice, because just know, if someone says that, they are not telling you the whole truth, or they're paid by Visa. Here's the deal. You can pay in most places in Prague by card, no problem, but there are some old school businesses like street vendors, smaller stores, and even some restaurants that only accept cash. Yes, we are still broadcasting from 2026. Of course, these are exceptions because most businesses try to cater to all of the customers and accept different kinds of payments. Except one category that cannot care less that you only have a card. They will turn you away because they had enough of your literally. I'm talking about public toilets. If you find a public toilet inside of a shopping mall or at some selected train stations, they might have turnstiles and will be able to accept cards as payments. But most public toilets only accept cash. Just be aware of that and bring some change with you for the times when your bowel movement needs it the most. Our next bad advice is connected to hidden gems. Yes, so we are talking about it again. I have a blister on my tongue because of it already, but it's just a gift that keeps on giving, guys. If you're on social media, I'm sure you've seen posts similar to this one, recommending some kind of hidden gem as opposed to a popular touristy attraction. But what I think is actually dangerous part of this advice about hidden gems is the fact that you can waste a lot of time on something that is simply not hidden anymore. Take the idiom, or as it was labeled on TikTok, the Infinite Book Tower of Prague. Now it has an almost 1 hour waiting line. Some people on our tours, for example, complained that they were there for 45 minutes, and it was quite disappointing because they could only take a couple of photos because there were a lot of people waiting behind them as well. Some Prague hidden gems are trying to fight off the tourists. For example, the so-called narrowest street in Prague, which is just a passage that leads to the restaurant, now has all of these signs telling you that it is just a one-way street and asking not to block the entrance to the restaurant. It used to be that you could just simply walk through and back. There's a traffic light that allows some people to wait on this side and others to get out, but they closed it for a while and then renovated it with all these signs. So you can clearly see that if this hidden gem is connected to a business, they don't often welcome tourists who simply came for a photo. So be careful about that and just know that not all hidden gems in Prague are worth it. Alright, so they did actually change few things around here, and now you cannot exit the same way you entered. You have to exit through the restaurant terrace as written on this board. Now a classic bad advice, this time from AI. Travel to Prague in April, May or September, October for the shoulder season or low season. That's simply not true. April and May are always busy because of Easter and other national holidays, and the beginning of autumn has quite a few festivals that draw crowds of people to Prague. If you want to learn when you should travel to Prague, check out this video. And now to our very last bad advice. Don't eat in restaurants next to popular touristy sites such as Wenceslas Square, Old Town Square or Charles Bridge. Well, let's check out what kind of businesses do we actually have around here.
A few moments later.
Okay, so a couple of restaurants with outside gardens and oh la la, what do we have here? Local, one of the most recommended restaurants in Prague. I guarantee if you go to any travel blog or a food blog about Prague, you will find a recommendation for this very popular restaurant there. I do realize that this advice has good intentions because what it basically says is that you shouldn't trust all the restaurants that are located in the city center of Prague because a lot of them do kind of exploit the fact that tourists are not aware of the currency rates or of how the Czech food is supposed to taste like. Why do I think it's a bad advice though? That's because it excludes all of the good businesses that just happened to be located next to the popular touristy routes. So please remember that not all restaurants that are close to the very busy city center spots are gonna scam you. A lot of them are simply there because they are successful and they can afford to pay this rent. So while that generalization advice works in some cases, it is just very surface level, which is why we don't really like it. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you are local, let us know in the comments what is one thing you feel like tourists get wrong about Prague. And if you are a tourist and you have been here already, let us know if anyone shared any bad advice that you happened to follow, unfortunately. Or maybe you have some good ones to share with people in the comments. Thank you for watching and we will see you in our next video. Bye!